Biden is not happy as Donald Trump walks out of the courtroom today with a big, huge win as a federal judge indefinitely postponed Jack Smith's criminal classified documents trial of former President Donald Trump. That's right, guys. The trial is indefinitely postponed. Jack Smith's got a massive amount of egg on his face today. But the ruling from U.S. District Judge Eileen Cannon vacates the date. And what it does is it sets a new slate for a pretrial proceeding, the latest of which is a hearing set for July 22nd. Now, of course, Judge Eileen Cannon, she ruled, and I quote, "The court therefore vacates the current May 20th, 2024 trial date and associated calendar call to be reset by certain or separate order following resolution of the matters before the court, consistent with the defendant's right to due process and the public's interest in the fair and efficient administration of justice," end quote. So what this means is that this is a big, huge win for Donald Trump. Now, in addition to this, early this morning, during the New York Stormy Daniels hush money criminal trial, Donald Trump's lawyer entered a motion for a mistrial, but Judge Juan Merchan denied the mistrial request over Stormy Daniels' testimony. So here's basically what has gone down so far, just to kind of jog you guys' memory. By the way, if you guys are new to the chat, if you're just getting in here, just please take a second, hit the like button for the video. It only takes a second, it's totally free. If you guys want to subscribe to the channel, that's cool too. What's up, Coy Gully? We got Nikki G in the live. We've got Dean Taylor. We've got Keenan Ripon in here, Guadalupe, Rubino. All right, guys, awesome. All my regulars, or actually some of my regulars. All right. Shortly after Michael Cohen testified, adult film actress Stormy Daniels has taken the stand to testify today in the hush money trial. In addition to that, we got former President Donald Trump. He's been charged with falsely classifying business records to cover up, or to allegedly cover up, hush money payments to Stormy Daniels, who claimed she had an affair with him. And this affair, it's so weird. Anyway, I don't know what you guys have heard. I heard something happened in the bathroom, and anyway, I'm not going to go into that one on this video. But Donald Trump has pleaded not guilty on the charges and denies her allegation of the affair. Current and former Trump Organization officials have testified just yesterday about how former Donald Trump lawyer Michael Cohen was reimbursed for the $130,000 payment to Stormy Daniels. Judge Juan Merchan has now twice ruled that Donald Trump violated the gag order and warned the former President Donald Trump once again that he could face jail time if he continues to post attacks on witnesses and the jury. Come on, guys. Let me know in the comments. Are you actually seeing Donald Trump posting attacks on the jury and the witnesses? I mean, seriously, I haven't seen anything like that. I don't know. Maybe there's something on Truth Social that I've overlooked. I didn't see it. Tara McKnight, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. It is members like you that really, really make my day, and you make what we're doing here possible, and I really appreciate your support. Tara McKnight says, "Thank you for all of the up to the minute information. You are amazing. So are you. I appreciate it. God bless you." So yeah. Anyway, so this is where we're at here. So I'm not seeing any attacks from Donald Trump. I don't see any attacks coming from him on Twitter. I don't really think he actually posts that much on Twitter. Unless I'm following the wrong Donald Trump, but it's an official Donald Trump on Twitter. Does Donald Trump post on Twitter? Let me know just yes or no if Donald Trump posts on Twitter, because I went to his page earlier today and I was like, wait. His last post was like toward the end of 2023. So I guess he's only posting on Truth Social, which would make sense, because if he only posts on Truth Social, it would make more people want to sign up to hear from him. If he posts on Twitter or X, then it's kind of like he's competing with his own platform. So maybe it's not a good business move. He's a smart business guy. I'm pretty sure he's doing what's smart. Anyway, early this morning, Let's see. Guadalupe Rubino says he doesn't post on Twitter or X anymore. Okay, cool. Thank you. Thank you so much, guys. What's up, Catalia? I see you, girly. All right. So early this morning, during the New York Stormy Daniels hush money criminal trial, Donald Trump's lawyer entered a motion for mistrial. But surprise, surprise, Judge Juan Merchan shot that one down and denied the mistrial request that Donald Trump's lawyer had sent over regarding Stormy Daniels' testimony. But in other news, it's still a big win, especially for Donald Trump's Florida case with Judge Eileen Cannon and Jack Smith. But in other news, back in the 2020 presidential elections, there was an instance, and a lot of you guys will probably remember this. And if you do remember this, please comment that yes or no if you remember this. Back in the 2020 presidential elections, there was an instance. And some of you guys might get mad about this, and I'm not trying to piss anybody off, but back in the 2020 presidential elections, there was an instance where thousands of ballots voting for Joe Biden miraculously, suddenly came out of nowhere. And if you guys remember, this actually happened in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And, where oddly enough, their mayor recently ousted their election leader. Now, this actually comes just months before the 2024 presidential elections. I don't know how many of you guys remember this, but yeah. So anyway, Milwaukee just so happens to be Wisconsin's largest city, one that's actually going to have a lot of eyeballs, given that it is considered to be a presidential swing state. All right. Now, there's a reason why we're talking about this right now, because now there's a lot of rumors that are swirling around this firing that took place, right? Which is kind of suspect when you remember that President Joe Biden narrowly won the state by just under 21,000 votes. And so the issue that we're going to be talking about kind of pertains to the almost 70,000 votes, okay? All of which were allegedly put in favor of our now incumbent President Joe Biden, which is kind of what makes this ousting that much more significant. And as we see the different results in the ballots come November, okay? So take a listen to this here. This is gonna make a lot of sense once you hear this.
Tonight, Milwaukee's top election official,
and then you have all the documents.
who oversaw the contentious 2020 election,
Did it with accuracy and transparency.
and the fallout, is out.
Is Claire Woodall out as of today?
Claire Woodall is out as of today.
Milwaukee Mayor Cavalier Johnson in an exclusive today confirming the move just 6 months ahead of the presidential election in this swing state's largest city. The mayor replacing Claire Woodall, instead nominating her deputy Paulina Gutierrez to lead the Milwaukee Election Commission.
Was she fired?
She was not fired. No, in fact, offered her another position, a position in which she had suggested for herself less than a year ago.
Give me a little
Very interesting. She wasn't fired, but she was moved out of her position.
context, if you can, behind this. This doesn't look great 6 months out in the state's largest city.
Well, look, anytime a mayor in the city of Milwaukee is elected, it's during a presidential year. It's more of a personnel matter as opposed to a matter of her technical ability to do her job. She is great as a technical performer of her job, but as I say, people see one side on this side of the camera, but there are other things on the other side of the camera that I also have to deal with and contend with, and that's exactly what I did in my decision.
Woodall today not responding to requests for comment after having worked for the city's election commission for more than a decade.
Now, keep in mind, Wisconsin has had a lot of interesting things happen related to their election commission just in the last couple of months. Okay, so I want you guys to understand what they're not saying, and what they're not saying is almost more important than what they are saying, if you guys understand what I'm saying. Anyway, Mayor Johnson, he was pressed about this decision because it's kind of shocking for something like this to happen just a few months before a major presidential election, right? And when asked if this could be connected to any of the actions or any of the scenarios where Woodall may have committed errors during her time, Johnson refused to answer, instead of just kind of like saying no. So it's kind of interesting. Like, wouldn't you just say no instead of trying to like avoid the question? And we've seen this before, where a certain someone was asked a very pointed question, multiple different questions. And instead of just answering no, they pled the fifth. You remember the one guy on the Donald Trump hush money trial? He was asked like freaking 15, 20. He was actually asked like 100 different questions, and every time he pled the fifth. Anyway, an independent journalist recently reported what Woodall actually did back in 2020. Now, reports are showing that Woodall printed like 64,000 ballots in the back conference room of City Hall, room 501. 64,000 ballots were printed in City Hall, okay? Now, for the November 3rd, 2020 election, she had city employees and others allegedly fill out those ballots on the 4th and on the 6th, on other floors, on the 4th and on the 6th floor of the building. This is where this has taken place. Now, they then kicked out the observers around 10 to 10:30 p.m. November 3rd, they ended up bringing in large amounts of ballots at around 1:15 a.m. on November 4th. These ballots were supposedly, miraculously, all for Joe Biden. It's like, wow, that's kind of unbalanced. All of these ballots are just suddenly for Joe Biden only and not his rival. So this has a lot of questions swirling around our justice system right now. And it's, and I see a lot of you guys getting upset in the comments. And I warn you that this was going to be, a little bit, it's going to tug on some emotions here, because a lot of folks understand what really happened. This is questions. This really has questions swirling all around, because if she indeed did this, then this would mean that Trump should have actually won Wisconsin. Now, let me know your guys' thoughts on that. Do you think Donald Trump really won Wisconsin? And that this person also should be tried for doing something illegal, which also means that the last 3 years should not have happened. Or at least, at the very least, there's a good chance that, Trump will be in the White House right now instead of President Biden. But in spite, the many outcomes, there's so many different outcomes that could have happened. Like, I can't tell you what would have happened for certain, but this situation just kind of opens up a strong possibility of some type of interference that may have taken place. And so this is also interestingly backed up by an email exchange that she had with a colleague with the subject of drama. So Ryan Shu, he wrote her this message: "Damn, Claire, you have a flair for drama, delivering just the margin needed at 3 a.m. I bet you had those votes counted at midnight and just wanted to keep the world waiting," end quote. So what do you notice about this message? The term he used was that it was Woodall that delivered the margin right at 3 a.m. Now, if you guys remember, Donald Trump was winning initially. Do you guys remember this? Like, I hope I'm not like, I hope some of you guys remember what I'm talking about, right? Donald Trump was winning initially, but when we all woke up, suddenly it was Biden who won. And so this has a lot of analysts calling out the Biden administration, because we all know that Democrats like Hillary Clinton called Trump as a fake president. But now we're seeing this, and it's telling us that Biden might be the fake one. I don't know. It just kind of begs the question, would we have the same situation now if Trump was our president these past few years? I'm talking about the economy. I'm talking about the inflation. I'm talking about, and of course, the wars across the globe, right? Trump has been very vocal in saying that none of these conflicts would have started with him in the White House, somehow hinting that Biden he's shown some weakness in the face of our adversaries, which has inevitably led to these conflicts that we're dealing with right now. Now, if these conflicts didn't exist, then maybe we wouldn't be seeing protests at all these different universities and campuses across the nation. Columbia University and Berkeley University and all these different universities across the country. Brooklyn protests, bridges being shut down. I mean, so the reality is they're happening. They are happening, and things are actually getting worse. Just recently, protesters vandalized a World War I memorial in Central Park, New York, and they also burned an American flag. Very disrespectful act against our nation. Another Central Park monument, the Civil War General William Texma Sherman bronze. It was a statue in Grand Army Plaza. It was also vandalized. And the term Free Gaza was written in red letters at the base of the memorial with a Palestinian flag planted in front of it. So now, of course, these actions were connected to these protesters in what they're calling as the Day of Rage. And so, it's kind of a scary name to give any kind of day, if you ask me. Day of Rage? That doesn't sound like good things are going to happen that day. Andy Davis, thank you so much, my friend, for the $10 super chat. God bless you, my friend, and thank you for supporting the channel. So again, it's a scary name. It's a scary name. Now, as far as we know, arrests were indeed made during these protests, but we're not really sure if, those folks have been set free. I do know how New York is right now. Alvin Bragg, he downgraded all sorts of felonies to misdemeanors. And it seems like if you go to New York and commit a crime, you can probably be let out the same day with no bail. So there's almost like no consequence. So more than likely, those people who have been arrested, they're probably already back out on the streets. Because I don't know if it doesn't seem like DA Alvin Bragg or Attorney General Letitia James really actually cares about the people of New York. Anyway, which again kind of raises the question: would things be different with Trump in charge? I mean, it's a valid question, right? Or was all of this just bound to happen one way or the other? Now, one other issue that a lot of people are pointing to with the Biden administration is our borders right now. So, of course, the U.S.-Mexico border, it has allowed millions of illegal immigrants into our country, individuals that the White House have flown into our country with little to no resistance at all. Did any of you guys know that our government's flying folks into the country? Let me know if this is news to you guys. Yeah. So since we can't turn back time. We have no idea what could have happened. What could have changed with Trump in the White House, but he's telling us that he already has a plan in place when it comes to illegal immigrants. So, okay, Catalia already knew that. All right. Now, we're like, months away from the 2024 presidential elections, and Donald Trump has laid out one of his cards. And so, according to the former president, he will deliver the largest mass deportation effort in American history. Now, that is if he wins the White House this November. Now, I'm not sure how he's going to go about this. I certainly hope that there is a very good plan, that is a fair plan that he has in place to make sure that only those people who are here, illegally are deported. I'm not really sure. Again, there's no details that have been shared on how they're going to execute that. I would also imagine that this would be very, very expensive to do. So there's going to be I'm sure there's going to be some unintended consequences. There's going to be a lot of folks unhappy. I mean, there could be, for all we know, there could be riots and protests in response to this. So I don't know how this is going to transpire, when and if the day happens. But I'm just kind of putting it out there. That is one thing that he did share with us. Now, the estimate is that Donald Trump is planning to send home about 20 million illegal immigrants. It's a plausible number given that the Biden administration essentially opened up the border for all these people. Then, of course, you got Tom Homan. He's the former acting director of ICE, the immigration, I forget the name of the acronym. Anyway, it's the immigration, compliance agency or enforcement or something like that. Anyway, so under Donald Trump, says that the agency has systems in place that are very good at identifying people. That makes me feel like they're using some type of maybe artificial intelligence, some kind of AI facial recognition software, or somewhere along the lines of identifying people. I don't know. Maybe there's some retina scans. I don't know how they're going to do that, but I do know that software can glitch, and I do know that mistakes can be made. So I'm really hopeful that they get all of that sorted out, because you know what, people getting caught up in stuff that if they're innocent and they shouldn't get deported, we don't want that. That's not cool. But this kind of effort will really take up a massive amount of resources, which could be Donald Trump's way of undoing one of Biden's biggest mistakes. Holman, he said that the ICE would still prioritize criminals and national security threats first. Although, no one's off the table, he's saying. He did warn that if you're in the United States illegally, then you should pretty much expect to get removed. That's what Donald Trump's plan is. And speaking of Donald Trump, we actually heard from Donald Trump this morning right after court had wrapped up for the day. Let's take a listen to what Donald Trump had to say.
So this was a very big day, a very revealing day. As you see, their case is totally falling apart. They have nothing on books and records, and even something that should bear very little relationship to the case.
Just to interrupt Donald Trump briefly, Donald Trump is referencing the DA Alvin Bragg New York hush money case, Stormy Daniels case with Judge Juan Merchan presiding. And he's basically saying that DA Alvin Bragg's case is falling apart.
So this was a very big day, a very revealing day. As you see, their case is totally falling apart. They have nothing on books and records, and even something that should bear very little relationship to the case. It's just a disaster for the DA, for the Soros-backed DA. It's a disaster. This whole case is just a disaster. If you read the legal scholars, you'll see, because they're writing about it, they've never seen anything quite like it. And neither have I. I should be out campaigning right now. We're leading in all the polls. I'd like to be campaigning. We'll be leading by a lot more. But I just want to appreciate the job you're doing. It's not easy standing there all day waiting, but you're hearing the same things that we're hearing. On another matter, as you know, it's Biden's backers that seem to be funding what's going on with the Palestinians. They're probably not Palestinians, they're agitators, bad agitators, really bad. And I think our government ought to find out who they are, where they're from, and treat them the same way as they do the J6 hostages. You got to treat them the same way. These are agitators. They're really hurting our country. It's happening all over the country in cities. You saw what happened last night at the Metropolitan Museum. These are agitators. And in some of the colleges, I think it's about 20% student and 80% others. So this is a big problem, and they better nip it on the bud. And it's a problem from the left, not from the right. This is a problem from the left. And I hope you're going to stress that. The economy is not doing well. You see inflation is through the roof. They're not going to be able to lower interest rates. If they do, it's purely political. But it'll be very bad if they do. From the standpoint of getting rid of inflation, you have to get rid of the inflation. Inflation, as you probably have heard me say, it's a country buster. It busts countries. And it has for...
How big is inflation in terms of the level of importance in your life today? I want to hear from you guys. Is inflation a big deal today still? I mean, you heard, Biden saying that inflation's down, it's lower. Jerome Powell's claiming that the inflation rate is lower. Boots on the ground, you guys, is inflation lower, yes or no?
For 1,000 years, you go back and you look at old-time Germany, you look at a lot of countries that went through the kind of inflation we're going through, and they're busted. They are just broken up in many cases into little pieces, and that's what could actually happen to us. So we have to get inflation under control. We have to get prices down so that people can breathe, people can live, so they can live. But again, this was a very revealing day in court. Any honest reporter would say that. I would recommend you read Jonathan Turley and Andrew McCarthy and Alan Dershowitz, Greg Jarrett, Mark Levin, very talented people, and others. There's some incredible people out there that are writing about this trial. They're calling it a disgrace. It's a disgrace. In the meantime, I'm stuck. I'm here. Instead of being in Georgia, instead of being in New Hampshire, instead of being in Wisconsin, and all the different states that we wanted to be in, we're not able to be there because we're stuck in this trial, which everyone knows is a hoax. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, there you have it, folks. Inflation is still a real problem. According to Donald Trump, he says it destroys countries, it destroys nations. And we have already seen the American dream stripped away from so many Americans. In fact, we've seen so many people find, let me know if you find yourself in a situation, or if you know someone who has found themselves in a situation where their goal was to own a house. Their goal was to own a home. It's like the American dream, right? One of the American dreams, probably one of the most popular American dreams, just home ownership, right? Do you fall into the camp where you were planning to buy a house, or someone was planning to buy a house, and then all of a sudden the prices, literally just the cost of home ownership just skyrocketed overnight, and then it just seemed like the dream of home ownership became like just unimaginable? Like, I'm just wondering, like, how many people that actually has affected here in this live right now. Shawana does say that the inflation is still affecting us. Let's see. Candace Davi says that inflation is horrible. My choices on a fixed income today are I could eat decent food or have a roof. I choose food. So that's a tough call to have to make. Karen says it's going up after the tax break is taken away. If you make $200,000, it will be $7,000 in taxes. Let's see. We got Timothy Bibb, Trump 2024. Appreciate you. Let's see here. Yeah. So anyway, just wanted to present these updates to you guys. Had some big updates to share. For those of you guys who missed who are just now tuning in, President Biden is watching a lot of these cases fall apart. And, this news has just come out that, essentially Donald Trump got a big court win today as a federal judge has indefinitely postponed Jack Smith's criminal classified documents case and trial of former President Donald Trump today. So this is breaking news. But the new ruling from the U.S. District Judge Eileen Cannon effectively vacates the date and sets a new slate of a pretrial proceedings. The latest of which is a hearing that's set for July 22nd. But effectively, Judge Eileen Cannon, presiding over Jack Smith's case, has postponed the trial indefinitely. So this is a big, massive win for Donald Trump. If Trump wins this presidential election here in 2024, we could very well see this case completely just dissolve the moment he walks into the office. But anyway, I wanted to give you guys these quick updates. If you haven't already, please hit the like button for the video. If you appreciate the content, the conversation, and the updates. I also want to thank you guys so much for sharing these videos on social media and with your family and friends. If you haven't already, if you like the content, consider subscribing. It's totally free. And hit the notification bell so you know when we go live and when we release new videos. I really appreciate you guys, and I'll see you on the next one.